Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Shamika, and today we're going to talk about inheriting racism. And not the type of racism you guys are thinking of. It's when you inherit your mother's, your parents, your father's, your grandparents' pain and their history, and what that can do to your own perspective on reality. So stay tuned. So, growing up as a kid, my family, my mom, my grandparents, my uncles and aunties very much instilled into me the history of where I come from, the history of slavery and the civil rights movement and segregation and all these things that happened. And so I grew up very, very aware of it and very knowledgeable of it. And I think because of all the stuff that I was told about the history and about white people and about what they did to us, that my family always seemed quite confused on how I can even have friends, like white friends, because they're like, we told you all these things about them, like how can you even be friends with them? I feel like sometimes when parents pass these stories down to their kids is almost like back in the ancient days when there was like kings and queens, and like the dying father or the son finds out that the one king killed his father, and so now he has to have these revenge, but these revenge must carry out through all the lineage of all the whole children. So his children and their children and their children and their children has to constantly hate this side because of something that happened like 100 years ago. I kind of feel like that's how it is sometimes, where it is like, this happened to me and they did it, so you must hate them forever, and then your kids must hate them, and then their kids must hate them, and then their kids must hate them. In a way, not exactly. I also think some of it is just a cautionary tale, and almost like your parents tell you these things because they assume that society is going to be the exact same way it was when they were younger, so they don't want their children to get hurt. So let me tell you that this happened to me, so you can stay away from these big scary people, or so you can have a certain mindset so you don't get taken advantage of, or so you don't get hurt. So I think a lot of it does come from a good place of parents just wanting to make sure their children are okay, or grandparents or aunties and uncles. I think it's the same thing, and not just when it comes to the black and white issue, but also the men and women issue. Most of the women in my family were single mothers, and including my mom. Not the whole time. Like my dad left as when I was still pretty young, but he was around for a little bit, and he's back in my life now, and I love him to death, and he's my best friend. But for the most part, I was raised by a single mom. And side note, she was extremely abusive. But yeah. But anyway, the only thing I ever heard my mom and my aunties ever say about men were all negative things. They were always negative, and yeah, like that makes sense because all the men in their lives left, and some left them with babies. And so they're jaded and they're angry and they're hurt, and so they never said I never heard them say anything positive about a man, or anything positive about masculinity. It was always like, men are dogs, men are cheaters, men are this, men are that. Like, don't ever trust anything they say, don't ever trust anything they do. They'll do anything and say anything to get in your pants, and all the thing was always very, very negative. Even when it came to my own brothers and my own male nephews. Not all my aunties did stuff like this. It was mainly my mom. But she would say very, very demasculating or emasculating things to my brother to like break him down. Would say stuff like, you ain't nothing, you just like all the other men, you just like your daddy, you just another dog, you just another nigga, like this and this. Constantly just talking down to him, like never uplifting him, or like never encouraging his masculinity so he can be a strong man. But it was all because of their own past hurts and on their own past pains that they were sort of instilling that into their children. So me and my cousins and a lot of other kids inherited sort of this the racism that their family felt, and the hurt from men that their family felt onto them. And I almost felt like you had to sort of carry that torch. Even when I got older and my dad came back into my life, even though my mom was extremely abusive, I have no relationship with my mom, and nobody has a relationship with her. But even though like she pretty much almost ruined any life or any chance of having a happy life for me, I still felt guilty for having a relationship with my dad. I mean, a wee bit, like, and I don't feel guilty anymore. But when I first started hanging out with him, I did feel a little bit away, and even my family felt some type of way. Even though they know what type of person she is, they still kind of was like, well, he left. Like, how can you have a relationship with him? And if you know my mom, like anyway, that's another story. I'm not gonna tell that story in this video, maybe another time. But I still felt guilty because you feel like I feel like parents and family members sort of put that on their kids. Like, you have to keep feeling this way. You know, when I die, I want you to keep this anger alive. Like, and I think it's a very dangerous thing to do for your children. I really do. And I think that's why a lot of, and I know some of you watching this will very much disagree with me, and that is totally fine. But I think that's why there's a lot of black millennials today who will sit there and say that, well, we had all these years of slavery and nothing has changed. Like, there are literally people who really feel like nothing's changed, because I feel like you constantly keep hearing the same horrible stories over and over again. It makes you feel like nothing has changed. But I think that's caused by people constantly relating these stories over and over and over again, passing out through history and their children. And nothing wrong with people educating their children from where they come from and their history and stuff like that, but it's a way of it being said. It's a way of saying, like, these white people did this to us too. This is what happened to us. This is our history. Or these men did this to us too. Like, well, this is what my past was. I think we have to be careful to not instill our anger and our hurt and our pain and our past into our children, into our kids, into the younger generation, because it's not really fair to them. I think it's up to them to grow up and have their own ideas of things, their own ideology, their own nuanced beliefs, their own critical thinking and thoughts of what they believe in, without having constant sort of like, but believe in this. It's the same thing as religion. Like, I understand that parents, it's your job to rear your children up in your image in the best way you can. So if you believe in God, of course you're going to tell your children God exists. But I think you have to be very careful not to constantly pressure and push your beliefs and your ideology and your morals onto your kids. Give them some breathing room and let them figure out what it is that they believe in. Even when I was younger and I got involved in a theater company, that was the first time I actually had friends outside my race. And my family put pressure on me to, like, not be friends with them. And it was just kind of like, why? Like, they didn't do anything. So it was like trying to control how I felt about people and not allowing me to come up with my own beliefs. So I feel like we have to be careful not to constantly constantly passing this anger down. Like, we're passing this ball of anger to the next generation, passing this ball of anger to the next generation, and then they want to pass it, and they want to pass it. It's like, when do we ever come up for air and exhale? Like, I just feel like, and again, I'm going to say it, and I have this almost saying in every video I make like this, is that I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. I'm not saying people are not discriminated. I'm not saying there's not bigot asshole Nazis in the world. But it's not the same as the fucking 300 years ago. And we keep passing that same anger down from generation to generation. I think it's harmful to us. And I think it's harmful to the kids. And I think it's harmful to the other generation to keep doing that. And I'm not saying that people who do that don't have a reason. People have their pain. And that pain is real. And I respect that pain. But don't give me your pain. That's your pain. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a bitchy way. Like, heal from that. Go get help. Go get mental help. Go get therapy. Like, heal from that. Meditate. Heal from your pain so you're not constantly passing it on. And that's another thing, that if we keep passing it on, we never heal from it. We never stop and, I need to heal this. I need to fix this heart. I need to fix this pain. So I'm not passing it down to my kids or to the next generation. Let's heal from this pain. This is, you know, my pain, my past, the thing that happened to me, my abuse from my mother, my molestation from my family member, and the rape that happened to me from the other two guys. That is my pain to deal with, and that's my pain to heal from. I'm not going to pass that down to my kids and be like, well, this happened to me because men are like this. I've experienced racism, called nigger multiple times, been profiled by the police. I've, been discriminated. I've got all the whole fucking 9 yards of being discriminated against. But I'm not going to take that and then pass that down to my children. That is my issue to deal with, and that is mine to heal, and that's mine to forgive. Like, I'm not saying I'm very much going to educate and teach my children where they come from in their history, but it's not the same as be as pissed and be as hurt and be as angry as me or as I was. So I think it's very dangerous, and I think it keeps our community crippled, because you can't heal, you can't move on until you forgive. And you can't forgive if people constantly keep telling you how horrible everything is or was. You know what I mean? So anyway, I come from a good place because I want to see people win, and I just think that's one of the things that keeps us from not winning. my opinion, and I always have this opinion, that if it's ever going to change this, is that anger is one of the most toxic emotions to have, especially anger without motivation to improve. And it keeps you stifled, it keeps you stuck, it keeps you from not moving, it keeps you from not growing, and it definitely doesn't uplift anybody. So I just think that's a space that we need to move out of. Again, not being angry or forgiving someone or something is not saying that that was okay and I'm now going to be a doormat and let you walk all over me. You can still change things for the better, but you can do it in a smart, intellectual, and wise manner. Anyway, that is my video. If you agree with me or if you disagree with me, if you got what I was saying, or if you have any more questions, please leave it in a comment section below. If you felt like this has happened to you, where this was put upon you and now you feel like you have to carry this torch, or if you think I am full of shit, please put it in a comment section below. If you like this video, like it and share it. And if you want to continue to have amazing conversations like this, open discussions and debates, and this is a back and forth, please subscribe. And if you subscribe, please hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload, so YouTube doesn't bury me in a black box or a shadow box, whatever everybody's talking about. Anyways, thank you again. Mwah.